Update: caught wife's affair through the Apple Watch I gifted her. Original post. Hey Reddit, sorry for the bad formatting as I'm on mobile. Well, it just happened. I found out earlier today that my wife has cheated on me. We have been together for 9 years, married for almost 1. It was with a coworker, and I managed to catch it via Apple Watch notifications, which I bought her, the irony, while she was at work. I confronted her while she was still at work via phone, and she came straight home, where she eventually confessed. She says it only happened once, which I kinda doubt. I am an emotional zombie from all of this. I loved, and still love, this woman, and I have no clue what to do. She is a wreck as well. She has apologized and says she doesn't want to lose me, everything. She's at her sister's now for the night, who knows what happened and is disappointed in her. I really don't know why this happened, and she says she doesn't know either. I thought we had everything and never thought this would happen. We were even trying for a baby, and she had an early miscarriage, maybe a week before the day she cheated on me. I helped her emotionally through that, as she was a wreck, and I thought we were on a good path to trying again. I'm really at a loss. On one hand, I want to try again. On the other, I want to move on. Please help me wrap my head around what happened. Reading the top comments before the updates. It's impossible to reconcile with a wife who is willing to cheat while trying to get pregnant. Less than a year into marriage as well. Adding to it, they had a miscarriage. While OP's response was to support his wife, her response was to go out and cheat on her husband and continue the deception. Even now, the reason she wants to work this out is because she's afraid her father will find out. Wait until OP serves her the divorce papers and see how her behavior changes 180 degrees. This right here, OP. Running home to put out the fire and looking devastated after randomly falling into her co-worker's lap is disgusting. She needs to work hard herself, because a woman who is trying to get pregnant will not take comfort from her co-worker. She has a much bigger problem than just cheating. She didn't tell you. If you hadn't found out, she would have continued the affair behind your back. What if she got pregnant from her affair partner? You would have had a cuckoo in the nest, and 10 years from now, for whatever reason, you do a DNA test and find out. There are a lot of posts here telling stories like this. Your marriage is over. And you will never forget what she did to you. It will hurt, you will suffer a lot, but you will overcome it and find someone much better. First update. Hey guys, maybe it's too soon for an update, but I'm in Europe so I was sleeping, if you can call waking up every 10 minutes sleeping, and working a bit, and I wasn't able to address some comments, so I'll try to do that here and provide a bit more context. First of all, thanks to all of you who commented. Even though I don't know any of you personally, I can see that your comments are made with respect and love, and that they are genuine. Another thanks to all the people who reached out in chat. I don't remember if I mentioned this before, but I talked to a psychologist yesterday, and it helped clear some of the fog in my brain. Today, I followed the most common advice here and talked to a lawyer. I have one in the same building, so yay, I guess. His view is that, due to the circumstances, I don't really have much to lose materially speaking, so that's a positive, I suppose. He and the psychologist both advised a period of separation without direct action, to let the smoke clear so I can think more rationally. Addressing some of the comments, yes, my wife did go to her sister's last night. I brought her there myself, and I have no doubts that she stayed there. Her first response when saying she wanted me back was that she'd quit her job. Of course. Based on the timeline of events, the baby that was lost would have been mine, but here's where it gets tough. I don't trust her at all, so I don't know if I believe that. I also basically caught her having plans to meet this person again yesterday after work. She said she wouldn't have gone. By the way, she told me she was just getting coffee with a friend. But the actual cheating happened before. She came to my apartment today and was begging me to take her back. I asked her how I could know what her plans were, or if there were any other instances of cheating. When she deleted all the texts with this person, she did that every day. So, on D-Day, there was nothing left to see, and they can't be recovered, unfortunately. Since she said she wouldn't have gone with him yesterday because she wanted to get back to her thing, I asked her, in that case, if she had ever planned to tell me what happened. She said no, she thought I would never find out and things would just go back to normal. I've talked with her sister as well, and honestly, it seems like these people are more scared of the consequences of their father finding out. They've only told their mom, and have never once asked me how I feel, although I guess they have an idea. Either way, she's off at her sister's now. I told her I want a period of separation between us, and she reluctantly agreed. I still care for this person. Her mom doesn't want to talk to her, so I called her and told her that even though her daughter did this to me, she still deserves her support. Maybe that was a dumb thing for me to do, but I don't know, I just felt the need. Again, thank you all for the support and love. I think I'll get through this with my family's support, and yours, too. Second update. Hey all, I'm really grateful for the support over the past few weeks. Well, a lot has transpired in these 2 weeks, but somehow my wife has managed to make all the wrong moves in the process. Firstly, we both went to individual therapy, which advised us to put some distance between us, or not contact each other for a while. Unfortunately, she didn't respect that and kept messaging and calling me almost daily. The problem is, every time she would call, she spun up more and more lies. During my own recon, I was able to piece together a timeline of her affair in my head, thanks to chats she had with her sister, who was even encouraging her relationship with the AP. By the way, when I asked her when things with the AP started, she began lying, but I was able to bring up receipts. It was mind-blowing, really. All I asked of her was to be honest. Then, when she told her parents, her mother, who I mentioned in the previous post I had called to give my wife her support, instead of telling her to be truthful, started helping her cover up the lies. Her mother even called my mother and started talking all sorts of nonsense. First she said that cheating didn't happen, then that it happened but only because my wife was drunk, then that she had something put in her drink. It's pretty insane. And mind you, I still doubt that the physical cheating was a one-time thing. The emotional affair started way back. They called me a few times, guilt-tripping me like I'm the one who cheated, telling me my wife was in bad health and whatnot. Crazy stuff, really. Her father, who I doubt they told the truth to, even started attacking me, asking why I would say such things about his daughter. All in all, I'm in shock. I've known my wife for 9 years, and her closest family for at least 4 or 5. These are completely different people than I thought they were. I've never seen this side of them, and I'm shocked. Regardless of all this, I've had great support from my family and friends, and I've decided to file for divorce. My friends have been especially shocked, since they viewed our marriage as the perfect relationship. My soon-to-be ex-wife moved out of my apartment yesterday, and my sister has been staying with me for now. In spite of everything, I'm still hurting. I get sad at times, day-to-day stuff triggers me. After all, we lived together for around 3 years. Every time that happens, I remind myself of what she did to me, and how she and her family handled the situation afterward, and I tell myself I don't deserve to be treated like this. Does it get better with time? I hope it does. Any words of encouragement or tips to move past this would mean a lot to me. Thanks again for all the support on my last post. You guys opened my eyes, especially the comments pointing out that the cheating happened while we were trying for a baby, which I hadn't thought about until you mentioned it. Once I did, it really hit me how shocking and cruel that was. Reading the top comments before the update. The parents sometimes start off being sympathetic to you and even realize that this is the behavior they've come to know from their daughters. Then, they seem to take their daughter's side. Finally, it's all your fault that they cheated. Happened to me twice. My ex-mother-in-law number 2 sat in my living room, looked at me, and said, "You know, you could have been more romantic with her." She said this while nodding up and down. I was shocked. I don't even remember what I said. Me as well, with my husband. Moving forward, thankful to be getting distance from these people. Family will almost always rally around their child, and don't forget they basically only hear her side of everything. My ex called me financially and emotionally abusive when nothing could be further from the truth, and mind you, she only did this after I told her I wanted a divorce. As for how you feel, I can unequivocally say that you reach a point of healing much faster when you split than if you try to stick with it. The only way to truly heal from an affair is by letting go of the relationship and having the time to focus on yourself. It took me almost 2 years, but I got there, and that was after spending basically 6 years in full-on pain from my wife's multiple affairs while I tried desperately to hang on to the marriage. You're doing the right thing and going in the right direction. Just stay the course, friend. You'll be providing an update in a year or so about how much better your life is. Last update. In my last update, I mentioned that I was going to file for divorce, and that's exactly what I did. I'm currently working on finalizing the process, although the court system in my country has dragged it out longer than necessary. My soon-to-be ex-wife and I separated 2 weeks after D-Day. She moved out of my apartment, and we've been no contact since. We occasionally cross paths because we live nearby, but I just turn my head and keep walking. The first few weeks were rough. I was sad, easily triggered, confused, the whole lot. I didn't eat much and lost quite a bit of weight because of it. I'm a smoker, and during that time, I smoked a lot. I was already going to the gym, so I kept that up and also picked up endurance sports as a second outlet, basically anything to avoid thinking about what had happened. It was work, sports, sleep. Thankfully, I didn't start abusing any substances, except nicotine, as that's not really in my nature. I also did a few more therapy sessions. My sister moved in with me for a couple of months, which helped a lot. I had never lived alone before, and the quiet of my apartment was suffocating. That period of focusing solely on work and fitness lasted about 2 or 3 months. After that, I started going out more, having fun with friends, and reconnecting with old ones. That's when something clicked. Everyone was happy to see me, telling me they'd missed hanging out and that I'd made the right decision, that I deserved better. It helped me realize that I needed to accept my situation and move forward. I was still struggling with confidence, though. I felt like most people, except for my closest friends, were pitying me. But that improved over time. I stopped obsessing about the past, and when thoughts crept in, I consciously told myself to let it go. When I started feeling stronger, my sister moved back to her place so I could adjust to living alone again. That was tough at first. The apartment felt empty, especially on Sundays, those were our shared home days. But I began filling the space and time with new hobbies, and that helped keep sadness at bay. Around 5 months after the separation, I decided to start dating again, and honestly, that's when I healed the most. It made me realize what kind of manipulative narcissist my soon-to-be ex-wife really was, and how much better off I am without her. My confidence was shaky at first. A few days after D-Day, she told me she cheated due to sexual frustration. That phrase lived in my head for months. Imagine, I'm a decent-looking guy, successful career-wise, and dating wasn't difficult, but the thought of physical intimacy terrified me. I didn't want to disappoint anyone or prove her words right. When it finally happened, I realized how wrong she was. Everything was fine, more than fine. So, it was either a manipulation tactic or the laziest excuse imaginable. Either way, it stuck with me for a while. Meeting new people also helped me recognize how much I had been projected on and manipulated in my marriage. I don't have trust issues, not every person is the same. I know plenty of couples who treat each other with love and respect, so I believe that kind of relationship still exists. All these steps, the separation, filing for divorce, over-exercising, living with my sister, going out with friends, and eventually dating, have made me realize that life is beautiful, and even more beautiful without someone who could betray me like that. I didn't waste 9 years of my life, I learned a lesson. Nobody deserves to be cheated on. If you're in a similar situation, young, with no kids or major shared assets, divorce or separation might be the best path forward. Focus on yourself. Surround yourself with positive people who genuinely want you to heal. Never put the blame on yourself, the choice to cheat and betray was theirs, not yours. I don't think it's possible to completely heal from something like this, but I think I've come as close as anyone can. My DMs are open for anyone struggling after betrayal and needing someone who's been through it to talk to. Thanks again to this community for helping me get here. Don't take the sexual frustration part personally. My ex's excuse for cheating was emotional disconnection. She doesn't mention that the disconnection was all her doing. She stopped giving a crap, stopped putting energy into being affectionate or interested in me, because her friends and outings and solo vacays, which eventually became cheating vacays, were so much more important than I could ever be. She also complained that my 6-figure income wasn't good enough, comparing me to others and saying I didn't contribute as much as her. Bullcrap. And apparently, I was boring. You ever notice how, with a bully, if they can't find anything to pick on, they'll just call you boring? Don't take her projection and bullcrap seriously. OP cheaters are liars and cowards. They'll spin any narrative that makes them not look like the bad guy. Next story. Wife of 9 years cheated on me with coworker 14 years younger. I recently discovered that my wife of 9 years, with whom I share a child, cheated on me with her coworker, who is 14 years younger than her and also married. She insists it was an emotional affair only, despite me reading some fairly sexually explicit text messages. My wife is this other man's superior at their office, and if word of the affair got out, she would most likely be fired. Our child is 4 years old, and while I'm angry, I'm not in a rush to ruin the financial stability that supports our kid's life. I'm not innocent either. I have a drinking problem that worsened 2 years ago after my father passed away. I admit I was detached for a while. I've been in therapy for 6 months dealing with the fallout of my drinking, and it was during this period that my wife decided to start the affair. If it weren't for our child, we'd probably be finished. But having kids changes things, and I'm determined not to disrupt our child's life over what could be seen as a joint rupture in our relationship. What I can't get over, and what leads me to post here, is that my mood swings, even without alcohol, are all over the place. One moment I want things to go back to normal, and the next I want to leave and start a post-divorce life, leaving her to her boyfriend. I was essentially gaslit for months. She would even confide in me about how moody this guy was, and I'd offer advice, saying that being a 30-year-old boy can be hard. The fact that they bonded over films was another painful hit, because that's what we bonded over when we met, and film has always been a core part of my life. But there's no solace in the graveyard of broken hearts. Everything hurts when you go looking for meaning in it. I've read many posts like this but never written one so personal. I think I'm just looking for guidance and advice. I haven't told anyone close to me for fear that if we reconcile, they'll look down on her forever. So aside from my therapist, whom I see once a week, and my wife, I have no one to confide in. I feel hurt and stripped of self-esteem. When I do sleep, I wake up and push through only for my child's sake. I can't decide if I'm being strong for my kid or a coward for not cutting her loose already. Edit. We're in couples therapy and have had 1 session so far. I've never done couples therapy before, but the first session went as you'd expect. Background, how did we get here? Kind of stuff. We haven't gotten to the real issues yet. I'm coming to realize that either she or he needs to leave the office. Otherwise, it's like me working in a bar, and it's only a matter of time before I start drinking again. If you want to reconcile, she has to quit her job and cut off all contact with this guy. Then, push her to give you the full story. Ask her to write a timeline of what happened, and tell her that if you find out she lied, the marriage is over. You can't heal until she's no longer in contact with him and until every last lie is told. Or, you can walk away, or stay in this hell and be miserable. I just edited my initial post, but yes, I agree she can't be in the same space as him. It's a ticking time bomb. The affair lasted 6 months, and we're only 3 weeks out from D-Day. I'm not naive. If she doesn't want to be with me, she should just say so. I can't control her thoughts or feelings. She basically stopped having sex with me for most of the year, which I imagine was from guilt or lack of desire. When I confronted her, she said she was perimenopausal and had no sexual drive. But it's hard to believe that given the nature of the texts, and the fact that a 30-year-old man isn't risking everything for just emotional bonding. Before the affair, she never mentioned perimenopause, so it feels convenient. And the fact that she's still hiding or lying about the sexual part makes me assume the worst. Looks like you'll need some honest and frank discussions about where your relationship stands and where it's going. At least you're honest about your drinking and its impact. Work through it with your therapist so you know what you truly want. But to do that, you need to know whether she's been fully honest and whether she's remorseful or not. You haven't made that clear. I'm not sure if she's fully remorseful. A week after the affair came out, she asked if she should expect retaliation, meaning A. Would I contact her work? B. Does my family know, and would they reach out to her job? C. Would I contact this guy or his wife? That felt like pure damage control, no sign she wanted to fix our marriage. Just a desire to calm things down and figure out an escape plan without looking like a total villain while she blew up both her marriage and career. I know you're desperate for reconciliation, but unless she's manically remorseful, crawling over broken glass to win you back, you're only kicking the can down the road. That desperation might give you temporary relief, but it won't last. Hopefully, she finds her remorse and truly wants to be with you. The one positive? Her affair partner is unlikely to leave his family for a much older woman.